God damn it, that was an amazing chapter. So JJK chapter 249 just came out, and it was a definite banger. Mostly because we got to see Yuta, Sukuna, and Rika finally going blow for blow, as well as Yuta's domain expansion. I'm gonna quickly go over what happened in the chapter and also explain Yuta's domain expansion as best as I can. If you want to skip straight ahead to that, I'll have it marked in the video. But the first part of the chapter starts with Kenjaku declaring to Yuta that his will shall be inherited, and then Yuta immediately having to deal with the explosion of cursed spirits from Kenjaku's body, as he's no longer able to control cursed spirit manipulation effectively. You know, that'll happen if you get decapitated. Mad unfortunate. But luckily for everyone in the surrounding area, Yuta is able to manage the outbreak of curses by summoning Rika, and together he and her put the pause on all the escaping cursed spirits. But they don't messed up because you cannot take your eyes off of Big Jaku. You know that boy stays scheming. The whole time that Yuta was battling cursed spirits, Kenjaku was using that opportunity to transfer over the ability to initiate the merger between Tengen and humanity over to Fushiguro Megami, who's currently being inhabited by Sukuna. Kenjaku then takes a moment to flex, hitting Yuta with that nice try little bro, but I had a plan for that. Yuta is wildin'. Me personally, I would not tolerate that level of disrespect. Kenjaku then solidifies that the ritual of succession was already completed beforehand, and that if he can overwrite the parents that form the function of the merging ritual, well, it's raps. So, to summarize all that dang yapping, because this man Kenjaku was really a certified gum flapper, Kenjaku is now giving Sukuna the trigger to mash together all of humanity and Tengen. So, Sukuna can now basically make a big behind super cursed energy monster whenever he wants. Well, he still has to finish the remaining players in the culling game, but he's kind of already doing that, so like I said, whenever he wants. Then baby Tengen shoots off, that's the thing that Sukuna swallowed last chapter, and Yuta finishes off Kenjaku with a pierce of the sword, with Kenjaku saying that I can't really say these past 1,000 years were lit, but I'm glad me and Takaba got to chill before I checked out. Flash forward back to present time, and Yuta is noticing that the output of Sukuna's reverse curse technique is returning to normal, which means that the recovery of his domain, whether through natural recovery or recovery with RCT isn't specified, I'd assume the latter, is also not far off. He then spends a few moments hitting that Yuta classic of being depressed about the events that transpired in his absence and wondering if him being there could have changed things, most notably the death of Higuruma. Yuta then resolves that it was necessary for him and Rika to be the ones that confronted Kenjaku because of the resulting cursed outbreak, which had the potential to be as bad as the one that happened in Shibuya. It sounds like a lot of malarkey to me. I'm just saying, Yuta being the one to pick Kenjaku on a t-shirt was not a bad idea. I'm just very sure that Maki would have been able to do it as well. Like, the first scene we see of her in the culling games is her cutting down a bunch of cursed spirits, but I digress, it's whatever. The fight between Yuta and Sukuna starts with Yuta piercing through Rika's shadow to try and stab Sukuna, but Sukuna obviously weaves and grabs the sword using either dismantle or cleave to cover his hand and small blades to grab the katana without touching it. If I was a betting man, I'd bet that it's probably cleave, just because we've seen Sukuna pull out way more creative uses with cleave than he has with dismantle, like when he used spiderweb back in chapter 215. Anyway, Sukuna, Yuta, and Rika are going blow for blow, the whole time Yuta realizing that in regard to the whole killing Kenjaku thing, he's just making excuses. The real reason he went himself is just because he wanted to be the one to bury Kenjaku, and so that anything that's happened because of that decision is his fault. If you ask me, I think he's beating himself up a bit too much, but I also understand where he's coming from. But now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Feeling resolved, Yuta uses domain expansion, unleashing his domain unlimited Barbie's dream. True and mutual love. This thing looks dope as hell. It's like a concrete wasteland littered with all different types of swords. Sukuna immediately throws up Hollow Wicker Basket, but Yuta is almost as quick and slams into Sukuna with a katana imbued with Thin Ice Breaker, the sky manipulation curse technique that he stole from Euro back in chapter 179. This actually manages to wound Sukuna. I believe this being the first real damage he's taken since reincarnating fully, that is if you don't count the self-inflicted wound of him cutting off his own hand to dodge Higuruma's executioner's sword. Anyway, Sukuna then has a little internal monologue and realizes what these guys are cooking up, at the same time giving us some real good insight into Yuta's domain. So it appears that Yuta's domain expansion does have a sure hit effect. I know some people were thinking that it was going to be a non-lethal domain and that the domain would just amplify his copy technique, but that is not the case. A sure hit effect is applied to the domain. And I go as far as to say that he can apply any one of his copied curse techniques as the sure hit effect given to the domain, which means there's a good chance he has Angel's curse technique on full blast, trying to obliterate Sukuna out of Megumi's body. I know some folk were also speculating that the swords symbolize different curse techniques he's stolen and that each one houses a certain technique, to which I agree with the first part, but I don't think there's a condition where he has to be holding a certain sword to use a certain curse technique. I think the swords are much more likely purely symbolic and more like useful backups, because we know that if you overload a weapon with too much cursed energy that it explodes or shatters, and he's probably blasting the full strength of these copied techniques into each swing, so yeah, it makes sense to have a lot of swords at your disposal, but I'm sure we'll learn more about it in the upcoming chapters. So yeah, Yuta's domain seems to be a space with a customizable guaranteed hit effect and unlimited access to any and all curse techniques that he's ever copied. In my opinion, that makes this one of the most broken domains we've seen so far, just because of the sheer versatility it provides during a fight. I'd really even argue that it may be better than Time Cell Moon Palace, but I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments below. Anyway, Sukuna basically realizes all this for himself and admits that while he's in here, half of his arms and mouths will be occupied maintaining Hollow Wicker Basket to avoid that sure hit, but he doesn't seem too bothered by it, which if I was Yuta would be a bit concerning. But anyway, Sukuna also realizes that Yugi was brought into the domain, and it is revealed after 249 chapters of Yugi just being a punch and kick merchant that Yugi strikes have the ability to grab hold of the soul, and he states himself, this is from Sukuna, the generational hater, that Yugi would have the ability to tear his soul out of Megumi's body. This is a little ridiculous, because if that's true, this may have just given Yugi a true durability neg technique, because if you're someone who's probably 10 times stronger than him, such as Sukuna, Yugi could just tear out your freaking soul and fight over. He's damn near a walking, talking soul split katana now, but I would guess that a vast difference in strength and cursed energy does affect how quickly and effectively he can pull out the soul from an individual, but I hazard that all of this is just my speculation based off the information given thus far. But with that, the chapter ends with Sukuna of course being mad passive aggressive towards Yugi, I will never understand the sheer immensity of beef this 1,000-year-old man has with a literal child, but hey, game is game. And also, there's no break next week. As you all can probably tell from looking throughout my channel, I don't usually do things like manga breakdowns or explanations, but I really like chapter 249, so I wanted to go over it and just talk to y'all about it, see what y'all thought. Is Yuta's domain expansion as hyped up as we all is? Did it meet the hype? I want to know. Let me know in the comments below. And if y'all really like this, then I could definitely start doing these on like a week-to-week basis. I'm gonna read them no matter what, so I might as well talk to y'all about it if y'all want. I'm thinking of doing an explanation of Tengen next, just because I know that Tengen is the thing that confuses most JJK readers. They don't even understand his role in the story, so I definitely wouldn't mind going over that. But alright, I'll go ahead and catch y'all next time. Remember to subscribe, comment, and share the video, and love. Peace.